So this morning I intend to focus on three key priorities for MND, which over the last 2 months I've been discussing with my colleagues in MND family. The first one is to ensure that public housing remains accessible and affordable. The second one is how we can keep our estates safe, livable, and vibrant for residents of all ages. And the third one is how we can create a pro-enterprise business environment by reviewing our rules and processes and working with our industry partners to catalyze new growth opportunities. So let me start with the first priority, ensuring that public housing remains accessible and affordable for Singaporeans. And this is part of MND's mission statement. Now, HDB flats are home to about 80% of Singaporeans, and not just for lower income households. They are a key part of our social fabric, bringing together Singaporeans from all walks of life. So as part of our commitment to meet diverse housing needs, we will continue to offer different flat types across different parts of the country. And this ensures that Singaporeans, regardless of their income levels, life stages, and aspirations, can have access to affordable and quality public housing. In recent years, we have made significant moves to improve accessibility for various groups, such as enhancing priority access for first-timer families, and also allowing singles to buy new flats island-wide. To determine affordability, we look at the price of the flat, and we also need to look at incomes. So it's price relative to incomes, and the proportion of income that goes towards paying the monthly mortgages. So 9 in 10 first-timer families who collected keys to their BTO flats were able to service their HDB housing loans using their CPF with little or no cash outlay. For BTO flats, we provide significant market discounts to ensure they are affordable and means-tested housing grants to give more help to the low income. We also introduced the new flat classification framework last October. Under this framework, we provide additional subsidies for plus and prime flats to ensure that these flats remain affordable for a wider group of home buyers. And this enables more Singaporeans to live in attractive locations, which were previously only accessible to those with higher means. However, to remain fair to standard flat buyers who do not receive these additional subsidies, we also impose tighter restrictions for these flats, such as longer minimum occupation period MOP, and also there's this thing called the subsidy recovery. So when you sell, we will recover part of the subsidy because we give you additional subsidies when you buy. And I think this balanced approach keeps our public housing system affordable, inclusive, and also fair to everyone. For the resale market, I understand there remain some concerns about resale flat prices. Fundamentally, resale flat prices are set by the market supply and demand at prices agreed between buyers and sellers. These flats remain attractive to buyers because they allow for immediate occupancy, and buyers can choose their preferred flat attributes such as location and size. Hence, it's reasonable for resale flats in prime locations with desirable attributes to sell at higher prices. Many of the sellers are also owners of BTO flats looking to upgrade to an executive condominium or private residential property. Now, the key point is this: there are resale flats available at different price points. If you look at 4-room resale flats with leases of 70 years or longer, and we choose this because these are suitable for younger, first-time buyers, there are options in Tampines and Punggol going for around $650,000 to $700,000. In Sembawang and Yishun, you can get such 4-room flats below $600,000. And in Jurong West and Woodlands, there are options below $550,000. Now, for first-time buyers who qualify for HDB housing grants, the prices they pay will be even lower after grants because they can enjoy up to $230,000 in grants. Resale prices can move up and down like any other product that respond to market conditions. What we want is for prices to move in tandem with income growth so that the two move over time the two move together. So we don't want it to outpace income growth. We also want to avoid too much volatility in the market. We are seeing some moderation in price growth. The quarter-on-quarter resale price index, or RPI growth, for last quarter is the lowest since second quarter 2020. As more BTO flats reach their minimum occupation period, starting from next year, 2026, we expect the supply of resale flats to increase, and there could be further stabilization of resale flat prices. The number of BTO flats which reach their MOP will increase from 8,000 flats this year to 13,500 flats next year, 15,000 flats in 2027, and 19,500 flats in 2028. So as you can see, the number will keep going up, starting from next year, 2027, 2028. And this will increase the potential supply of resale flats in the market. We will also continue to put out a strong pipeline of BTO flats to meet demand. So for first-time buyers, if there are sufficient BTO supply, some of them, instead of buying resale flat, will prefer to choose to buy BTO flats. So that will also help to reduce the demand for resale flats. So these two moves, one is to increase the supply, one is to reduce the demand for resale flats. Taken together, we believe it will help us to see stabilization of resale flat prices in the years ahead. So when conditions allow, we plan to remove the 15-month wait-out period for private property owners to buy non-subsidized HDB flats, because this was introduced earlier as a temporary cooling measure. So once the market prices stabilize in the resale market, I think it is timely for us to then consider removing this temporary cooling measure. Now, my predecessors have laid a strong foundation to keep our public housing accessible and affordable. Looking ahead, we will do more to meet the needs of different home buyers. And we will do this by building more and building faster. Now, please allow me to explain. So first, building more. Coming out of COVID, HDB had worked very hard with the industry to deliver all the COVID-delayed projects in February this year. So we have caught up with the delays. Now, we had earlier committed to launch 100,000 new flats from 2021 to 2025 and to build at least 50,000 flats in the next 3 years. We will build more to have sufficient supply to meet the housing aspirations of Singaporeans. Having a strong BTO supply will also help to reduce demand in the resale market, as I shared earlier, and will help to moderate resale flat prices. For a start, HDB will launch around 55,000 BTO flats from 2025 to 2027, which is a 10% increase compared to the earlier figure of 50,000. These homes will be built in different parts of Singapore, including new areas like Mount Pleasant, Woodlands North Coast, Sembawang North, and the former Keppel Club along the Greater Southern Waterfront. Each of these estates will have different locational attributes to meet the housing needs of different flat buyers. We will also sustain a steady level of private housing supply. From 2025 to 2027, we plan to launch more than 25,000 private residential units through the government land sales program. And this is in addition to the 45,000 units that are already in the pipeline. So in total, more than 70,000 new private housing units will be completed by around 2030. The second one is build faster. So beyond building more, we will also build faster. New flats with shorter waiting times are a closer substitute to resale flats, and this can help to also meet the demand of some of the first-time buyers and help to moderate resale prices. Now, over the years, HDB has made progress in cutting down BTO waiting times, including through construction productivity improvements like precast technologies and automation where possible. We had earlier committed to launch about 2,000 to 3,000 shorter waiting time or SWT flats every year. So every year, 2,000 to 3,000 SWT flats. These flats have waiting times of less than 3 years. Last year, we launched around 2,800 SWT flats. Looking ahead, we will launch more SWT flats. For this year, we will launch 4,500 SWT flats, exceeding our target of 3,800 by almost 20%. This will benefit many of our buyers, especially those with more urgent housing needs. Over the next 2 years, we will launch about 4,000 SWT flats yearly, or 1/3 more than our previous annual supply commitment of 2,000 to 3,000 SWT flats annually. For a sense of scale, 4,000 SWT flats yearly over 2 years is in total almost as many flats as the entire Bidadari estate. Building more shorter waiting time flats is not an easy task, especially as land becomes more scarce and demand continues to grow. So suitable sites must be identified early, and the whole construction process need to be brought forward by about 1 to 2 years. So the flats are shorter waiting time, not because the construction was rushed through, but because we start planning earlier, so that by the time people book those flats, some of the work has already started. So we also need to include the infrastructure preparation works, technical studies such as design development, as well as contracting works for the project. So start the preparation earlier, start some of the work earlier, so that by the time people book the flats, the waiting time will be shorter. Now, we understand that buying a HDB flat is a big life decision that's close to the hearts of many Singaporeans. And providing our citizens with affordable and accessible housing is a key part of our social compact. So we will continue to monitor demand for homes closely and ensure that public housing remains accessible and affordable to Singaporeans. Let me now turn to the second topic, which is estate upgrading and rejuvenation of older estates and older flats, because this is another important area of work for M&D family. Many residents who have gone through the Home Improvement Program or HIP and benefited from upgraded toilets, spalling concrete repairs, new doors, just to name a few examples. Others will have seen improvements in their estate through the Neighbourhood Renewal Program with new playgrounds, residence corners, shelters, landscaping, again, just to name a few examples. Rejuvenating our estates have always been an important priority for M&D. We will need to deal with 3 shifts going forward: an aging society, older estates, and diminishing leases. First, as our population ages, we will need to do more to help our seniors age well and safely within our communities. Last year, we announced that the Neighbourhood Renewal Program, or NRP, will be extended to incorporate more senior-friendly enhancements. And this includes therapeutic gardens, fitness trails, and wayfinding features. We recently introduced the Silver Upgrading Program, or SUP, which will benefit senior dense estates, so estates with more seniors, that had already undergone the main upgrading program or the interim upgrading program. This year, we expanded the SUP to another 12 precincts across Ang Mo Kio, Bukit Merah, and Toa Payoh, which will benefit 11,000 more households. For our residents in the private estates, we are commencing the next batch of the estate upgrading program, regular estate, as well as the first batch of the estate upgrading program, Silver Estate, for estates with higher concentration of seniors. So we're doing this for public housing estates. We are also doing this for private estates. These include estates in my constituency, such as Westlake, Inglewood, and Yulian Park. EUP will enhance the living environment in our private estates through the upgrading of infrastructure and recreational facilities. And with the improved facilities such as parks and playgrounds, residents will have a more conducive environment for community-based activities within the estates. And we hope that this will encourage our communities, our residents, to participate in more activities, to stay active, to stay healthy. Seniors can also look forward to the start of the Enhancement for Active Seniors Program, or EASE, private, from April next year. So EASE has been going on quite some time already for HDB flats. We are going to extend this to private estates so that seniors staying in private estates can also benefit from EASE. Now, second, our HDB blocks and estates are also getting older. Progressively, we will see more HDB flats enter the second half of their 99-year leases. These flats would have benefited from one round of upgrades under the previous main upgrading program or the current Home Improvement Program, or HIP. The upgrades would have been done when the flats were about 30 years old. After the HIP, with flat owners doing their part with regular maintenance, the flats should be good for another 30 to 40 years before they start to show their age again. So over the years, HDB has refreshed the HIP package to include more contemporary and better quality improvement items. So HIP 2 will be even more extensive than the current HIP, as the flats that undergo HIP 2 are older than those that undergo HIP, so more work will be required. And we want to make sure that these older flats, after going through HIP 2, will be good enough to last the flat owners till the end of lease. For example, HIP 2 will adopt enhanced solutions for spalling concrete. We understand this is a concern for some of the residents staying in the older flats. We will employ corrosion-resistant repair, or the CRR method, which was rolled out for HIP last year, more extensively for older flats undergoing HIP 2. This will enhance the durability of repairs and help to improve the livability of our older flats. The CRR method used for spalling concrete repairs is more effective than the conventional patch repairs. In addition, we will explore new solutions not currently included in HIP. HDB is trying out new technologies for detection, such as using microwave scanning to identify spalling happening underneath the concrete surface, or to narrow down the path of any water seepage. So sometimes from the outside, you may not see the spalling concrete yet, but it's like internal injuries, You have some of the damage starting inside, the corrosion starting inside. So without a technology like this, it's not visible from the outside, but this helps the HDB officers to pinpoint where are the areas that will need repair before the spalling concrete happens. Now, HDB has deployed this technology to some real-life complex spalling and water seepage cases, and it is currently going through the results, and we plan to deploy this new technology as part of HIP 2. Now, we will announce more details on HIP 2 during the Committee of Supply in 2026. Now, even as HIP 2 focuses on addressing the aging interiors of our flats, we also need to study ways to enhance the living environments in these older estates, as we have done under the NRP and SUP, which I spoke about earlier. And this includes looking at ways to refresh common areas, precinct facilities, and greenery that residents interact with daily. These efforts will complement the flat-level rejuvenation under HIP 2 and make sure that residents who are staying in such older estates can continue to enjoy a vibrant neighborhood that supports active and gracious living. Now, for our private estates, we are reviewing the Building Maintenance and Strata Management Act to better enable MCSTs to upgrade their developments. And in alignment with HWELL SG, we will also study how the Accessibility Fund could better support MCSTs to enhance the inclusivity of the infrastructure within their developments. So this is something which pertains to private estates. We have done quite a bit for public housing, but we are now exploring, because we also have seniors staying in older private estates, so how can we put in some of these support measures to help our older private estates to rejuvenate and to keep the estate livable for our residents. Now, we will share more details. These are still at the early stage. We are still studying, and we will share more details with the media when ready. Okay, let me now move to the topic of the 99-year lease. Now, some have asked why HDB flats and most private properties are sold with 99-year leases. Now, the fundamental reason is this: we need to be fair to future generations. After 99 years, when the land is returned to the state, we can recycle it to build new flats, new homes for future generations. This helps to improve the intergenerational mobility and prevent our society from being split into property owners and those who are not, which will be unequal and socially divisive. We have put in place measures to discourage younger homebuyers from purchasing properties with shorter leases that may not last them for life. The vast majority of HDB households have flat leases that cover the owners to age 95 or more. After 99 years, the flat returns to the state, and the government redevelops the land and builds new BTO flats for future generations. This also allows our towns to be rejuvenated and refreshed over time to better meet the evolving needs of successive generations. This redevelopment needs to take place in a measured and considered way. As then PM Lee explained in his NDR speech in 2018, several of our older estates were rapidly built up in the 1970s and 1980s to meet our urgent housing demand at that time. If we leave all the leases to naturally run down, to reach 99 years to naturally run down, we will need to relocate a large number of residents and build many new homes within a short time in the 2070s and 2080s. Because these flats were built in the 1970s and 1980s. If they all wait till the end of lease and then all of them get torn down and rebuilt, it will be a lot of redevelopment in the 2070s and 2080s. This will be very disruptive to residents who are staying in these towns. Hence, it is better to stage the redevelopment progressively over 20 to 30 years. This also allows us to be more strategic in how we replan our aging towns and to reap some of the land intensification and estate rejuvenation gains earlier. We do not need to scale up the voluntary early redevelopment scheme of VERS until sometime in the late 2030s, when the older flats reach their 70-year mark. That is still more than a decade away, but our agencies have started work on VERS because we know this is a complex policy and a long-term undertaking. In this term of government, our aim is to develop and flesh out the VERS framework. This includes setting parameters to identify possible VERS sites, ensuring sufficient homes are ready in time for residents who are involved in VERS to relocate to, and working out a fair package for VERS residents. Unlike the selective en bloc redevelopment scheme or SERS, which involves precincts with high redevelopment potential, there's less financial upside with VERS because the flats will be older and hence the terms will be less generous. When we are ready, MND and HDB will engage Singaporeans on the framework and policy parameters to take in further views and feedback. After we have established the VERS framework and parameters, we can then start with a few selected sites. This will likely happen from the first half of the next decade. We will continually review our processes as we go along and progressively scale up VERS by the late 2030s. Our plan is to progressively offer VERS to selected estates in different parts of Singapore. As VERS will be voluntary, there could also be instances where residents who are offered VERS collectively decide not to proceed. Right? That's possible. They may collectively choose not to proceed. Now, for these residents, they can continue to stay in their flats until the leases run out. The government will support them in other ways to keep their flats and their estates livable and vibrant, including through upgrading programs like HIP2, Silver Upgrading Program, and Neighbourhood Renewal Program that I spoke about earlier. And this area of work is an important part of our review. So the review is not only to look at VERS, the review is also to look at those who do not go through VERS. And what can we do to keep their estates and their flats livable and vibrant? So some journalists have asked about our plans for SERS. As MND had previously explained, SERS involves compulsory acquisition and is highly selective. Looking ahead, we will focus our efforts and resources on VERS, and we currently have no plans to do any more SERS. Now, beyond housing, MND also plays a key role in creating a pro-enterprise business environment and working with our industry partners to catalyze new growth. One key way we are doing this is by streamlining our rules and processes. The government has set up an interministerial committee chaired by DPM Gan Kim Yong to review interagency regulatory issues faced by businesses. So I'm part of this committee, and I have also made pro-business rules review a priority for my colleagues and myself when I was at MOT. So I'll do the same at MND. Let me highlight some key initiatives that we are undertaking. The first is Cornet X. This is a one-stop shop front for all regulatory approvals for building works. Connect X streamlines over 20 touch points into 3 key submission gateways. And since its soft launch in December of 2023, the platform has seen over 50 projects involving 100 firms in total. The users have told us that they benefited from faster approvals and also less abortive work. Some projects even achieved time savings of up to 2 months at the construction gateway clearance stage. The good progress we have made together with the industry has given us the confidence to press on with the next major milestone for Connect X. So from 1st October 2025, Connect X submissions will be mandatory for all new projects with GFA of at least 30,000 square meters. So these are the larger projects. We will start with this category first. And from 1st October 2026, all new projects, including those smaller than 30,000 square meters, will be required to make regulatory submissions via Connect X. So I encourage developers and professionals in the built environment sector to start using Connect X early to be able to harness its benefits. MND, BCA, together with our industry association, we will continue to conduct training. We'll continue to provide support to encourage our industry partners to come on board. Because there is an initial period learning curve that we need to overcome together. But once we go through this, Connect X will bring about greater efficiency and benefits in terms of time savings, in terms of more certainty for the whole industry. And this is one way to make our industry more productive, more efficient. The second example I'll share with everyone is URA's change of use process. Currently, businesses need to obtain URA's permission for change of use within commercial spaces in JTC, business parks, and also community centers managed by PA. This process takes about 2 weeks with a fee of $500. URA's permission is likewise currently required for land-based solar farm projects, and the application fee is $3,500. We are working on streamlining the process such that URA's permission will no longer be required for such proposals. Business owners will just need to obtain the respective landowner's consent and comply with the relevant authorities' requirements for their proposals. So this will help to shorten the regulatory process, reduce time and costs for businesses. Now, one final example I'll share with everyone today is the setting up of the Outdoor Refreshment Area, ORA. Previously, eating house operators will need to seek approval from both Town Council and HDB. But going forward, they no longer need to do so. Instead, HDB will seek the Town Council's no objection before granting landowner endorsement. This helps to reduce the time taken for such approvals from 42 days to not more than 30 days. Now, beyond reviewing our rules and processes, which is an ongoing process that we will do, and I hope to work closely with the industry to find out which other areas we can help them and work together with them to simplify our rules and processes, to cut red tape, to bring down processing time and costs for businesses. Another important area for us is to work with our industry partners to catalyze new growth opportunities. And this will include opportunities for them to innovate new products and also to be able to take some of their products and expand overseas, enter overseas markets. So let me share with you all some examples. First, we will make it easier for commercial property owners to take collective ownership of the place management of their precincts. So if you have enjoyed the light projections at the Singapore River Festival, or vibed to the pop and electronic music at the District M event in Marina Central, or tried out the interesting chairs at Raffles Place Park, you will have benefited from URA's pilot Business Improvement Districts, or BIDs. These are all pilot BID projects where private sector stakeholders come together with government support to develop multi-year business plans to inject vibrancy into their precincts. The program has received positive feedback, and MND will propose a new legislation to formalize the BID model. And we hope that by doing so, we can also scale up to more precincts, more areas in different parts of Singapore, working in partnership with our industry, our businesses. By leveraging the established BID framework and safeguards, commercial property owners can self-organize and form their own BIDs and drive place management efforts. This will make our precincts livelier, bring businesses more footfall, and benefit our community with more lifestyle options. And this includes working with the businesses via the BID model to revitalize our nightlife industry. Now, second, the M&E family will ramp up our partnerships with local companies to develop breakthrough innovations that can transform built environment processes and help our companies to globalize. For instance, we have worked with Greehill, which is a locally registered company, to co-develop a remote tree management system that enables remote inspection and assessment of tree health. So they work closely with MParks. They deploy their technology to help MParks to be able to monitor the health of trees. But this is not only useful for trees in Singapore, this can also be used to measure the health of trees and to manage trees in other cities around the world. So Greehill is now marketing the system in multiple countries, including the US, UK, Australia, Republic of Korea, and Malaysia. We have also spurred the formation of new companies through our Cities of Tomorrow research program. And one such example is Genios Private Limited, which is a new spin-off established to commercialize a newly developed state-of-the-art intelligent lifting frame system that significantly improves the precision, safety, and efficiency of hoisting operations during the construction of HDB flats. I went to take a look at this yesterday at the HDB Research Center, and they showed me the demo. Because as you all know now, HDB use quite a bit of precast, right? So when the parts come and they want to lift this to be able to install them as they build the HDB flats, they need a crane. But because the crane using conventional methods, there's quite a bit of swing. So you need a lot of workers to stabilize both on the ground and also nearer to the top before the precast parts are put in place. With this technology, they automatically adjust to keep the operation stable and safe. So this is actually saving of manpower, saving of time, and it's also safer for the workers. So this technology is still something that is under development. They hope to make further progress through the R&D, but you can see that there can be quite a lot of potential for something like this, not just to benefit the construction industry here in Singapore, but also to sell this technology overseas and benefit others. Yeah. So we will continue to do more to help our local companies to develop and scale up urban innovations. And we are working on some of the initiatives and hope to be able to share more with you all, including at COS.